Most careers don't break at the beginning. They stall after onboarding ends. The structure fades, expectations blur, and suddenly the responsibility to grow becomes personal. At the same time, work is changing faster than ever. AI is reshaping roles, hybrid teams are redefining trust, and pressure is being managed, not always well. This series isn't about motivation, and it isn't about surviving hustle culture. It's about what actually helps individuals stay effective, adaptable, and mentally ready after the first 90 days. We'll explore how people create clarity when guidance is thin, how they build skills that matter in an AI-accelerated workplace, and how they protect their energy without disengaging. Because being mission-ready isn't a personality trait, it's a way of working, one that can be designed. This is Mission Ready, thriving as an individual in the age of AI. In the last episode, we clarified how capability is built and evaluated in AI-saturated environments. AI doesn't replace judgment, it multiplies it. Quality becomes visible, credibility compounds, and strong thinking stands out faster than ever. But that clarity introduces a new question. If capability is visible and judgment is evident in the work, how does movement actually happen? In many organizations, the traditional signs are gone. There is no clear ladder, titles lag contribution, and waiting for permission often means waiting indefinitely. This is where many capable people stall, not because they lack skill, but because the path forward isn't labeled anymore. Episode 8 begins here, not with promotion strategies or career plans, but with navigation. How careers actually move when paths are unclear, how signal turns into opportunity, and how momentum, not permission, becomes the driver of progress. For a long time, careers were understood through titles. Promotion meant progress. New roles signaled readiness. But in modern organizations, titles rarely lead opportunity. They lag it. Titles reflect history, what someone has already done, not what they're ready to do next. When people wait for a title change before expanding contribution, momentum slows. Promotion-first thinking turns growth into a gate instead of a process. In reality, opportunity forms earlier, through visible contribution, expanding scope, and trust built over time. Titles follow once that pattern is clear. This is why momentum beats perfection. Careers move when contribution moves first, not when a role description finally catches up. In modern organizations, internal mobility rarely begins with a request. It begins with signal. Signal is evidence that someone is already operating beyond their current scope. It shows up in how problems are handled, how judgment is applied, and how work holds together under uncertainty. Aspiration matters, but aspiration alone does not create opportunity. Leaders do not move people based on desire. They move people based on patterns they can trust. Signal tells leaders three critical things: that the person can deliver reliably, that they can learn quickly when scope expands, and that risk decreases when responsibility increases. This is why internal mobility often happens without a formal request. By the time a role opens, the signal is already clear. Careers move when contribution moves first, not when ambition is finally stated. Job descriptions describe where someone sits. Skills describe what someone can do. In modern organizations, capability moves faster than roles. People solve problems, manage ambiguity, coordinate across teams, and make decisions that are not confined to a single title. This is why readiness is increasingly evaluated through skills portfolios, not job descriptions. A skills portfolio makes capability visible across contexts. It shows how someone thinks, how they handle scope, and how their contribution holds when conditions change. This is also why lateral capability often precedes vertical movement. When skills transfer cleanly across roles, leaders gain confidence that expanding scope reduces risk. Visible progress creates permission. Titles follow once capability has proven it can travel. Lateral movement is often misunderstood. It's seen as waiting, detouring, or stepping aside from progress. In reality, lateral moves often accelerate capability faster than vertical ones. Moving across functions expands pattern recognition. People begin to see how decisions connect, where bottlenecks form, and how trade-offs actually play out. This broader perspective increases judgment, not just experience. Lateral roles also build trust. Cross-functional exposure makes contribution visible to more decision makers. It reduces perceived risk when scope expands later. This is why sideways often means forward. Lateral movement creates leverage by increasing understanding, credibility, and readiness long before a title changes. In most organizations, opportunity appears before promotion. Leaders rarely expand scope all at once. They test it. Stretch assignments are how that testing happens. A stretch is not a reward, it's a signal. It allows leaders to observe readiness without creating irreversible risk. Stretch assignments are intentionally limited in scope, visibility, or duration. They create a safe space to evaluate three things. Can the person deliver under slightly expanded responsibility? Do they learn quickly when conditions change? And does quality hold when expectations rise? This is why early delivery matters more than ambition. Leaders are not persuaded by what someone wants next. They are persuaded by how someone performs when the scope quietly expands. Stretch assignments make readiness visible before any title changes, and they reduce risk for everyone involved. Many career conversations stall because they start with the wrong question. What's next for me? While expected, that framing places the conversation in a position of permission. It asks for a future decision before the present evidence is fully visible. Productive career conversations are design conversations. They focus on contribution patterns, what someone is already doing well, and where their impact is growing. They surface emerging capability, skills, judgment, and scope that are beginning to travel beyond the current role. And they explore where value could expand next, not as a demand, but as a shared problem to solve. Framing the conversation this way reduces defensiveness on both sides. Leaders are not asked to promise outcomes. Employees are not left waiting for vague encouragement. Visible progress becomes the foundation for future movement, and permission follows once the design is clear. In most organizations, permission does not come first. Momentum does. Early wins matter more than perfect plans. Not because plans are unimportant, but because movement reduces uncertainty. When people act within their current scope and begin delivering value slightly beyond it, leaders gain confidence without being asked to take a leap of faith. Momentum lowers perceived risk. It shows that contribution is already expanding before permission is formally granted. Waiting, on the other hand, sends a different signal. It suggests hesitation. It suggests uncertainty. And it often causes capable people to stall, not because they lack readiness, but because motion never begins. Careers move when momentum is visible. Permission follows once movement is already underway. Career plans often fail not because people lack ambition, but because systems don't stand still. Long-range plans assume stable roles, predictable needs, and clear sequences. Modern organizations rarely operate under those conditions. Teams reorganize, priorities shift, new problems emerge. In dynamic systems, static plans age quickly. What felt logical 6 months ago may no longer be relevant today. Over-planning creates a different risk. It delays action while waiting for certainty that never fully arrives. People invest time perfecting plans instead of building momentum. This is why cycles outperform roadmaps. Cycles adapt. They allow learning, adjustment, and course correction as conditions change. Careers move through repeated contribution, not by following a static map in a shifting landscape. In dynamic systems, careers are not shaped by maps, they are shaped by cycles. Roles emerge through repeated contribution, not through prediction. Each cycle creates feedback. Feedback sharpens judgment. Judgment improves delivery, and delivery builds trust. This loop, learning, contribution, and trust, compounds over time. Ladders assume stability, cycles assume change. When work evolves, cycles adapt. People who grow through cycles don't wait for clarity. They move, learn, adjust, and move again. This is why momentum beats perfection. Progress becomes visible through iteration, not adherence to a plan that can't keep up. Opportunity rarely begins with a title change. Leaders don't grant opportunity all at once. They reduce risk first. Before scope expands formally, leaders look for 3 signals. Reliability. Can this person deliver consistently without constant intervention? Learning speed. Do they adapt quickly when conditions change or feedback is introduced? And scope expansion. Are they already taking on slightly more responsibility than their role requires? These signals allow leaders to test readiness without creating irreversible commitments. That testing often happens quietly, through stretch assignments, temporary ownership, or expanded influence in specific areas. This is why opportunity is staged, not announced. By the time a title changes, the risk has already been reduced. What can feel invisible or unfair from the outside is often the result of observable patterns that leaders have been watching over time. Throughout this episode, we've examined how careers actually move when paths aren't clearly labeled. The core shift is simple. Careers move through signal and trust, not permission. Waiting for clarity often delays growth, not because people lack ambition, but because movement rarely begins with approval. Visible contribution builds opportunity. It shows readiness before it's requested. It reduces risk before it's debated. And it creates momentum that leaders can trust. Navigation beats aspiration. Careers don't advance because someone wants more. They advance because capability becomes legible through action, iteration, and delivery over time. Permission follows once trust is already in place. The people who move forward are not waiting for the map. They are reading the terrain as they move. When careers begin to move through signal and trust, a new challenge appears: visibility. Not visibility as attention, but visibility as legibility. As work scales across teams, functions, and decisions, contribution becomes harder to see. Leaders no longer observe everything directly. Context gets lost, signal diffuses, and good work can disappear without ever being questioned. This is where careers often stall again. Not because contribution stopped, but because it stopped being legible at scale. Episode 9 focuses on how visibility actually works in modern organizations, how recognition forms without self-promotion, how narratives shape opportunity, and how people maintain control over how their work is understood as scope expands. The next phase of growth is not about doing more. It's about ensuring what you already do can be seen, understood, and trusted beyond your immediate circle.